Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Get Stuff Done podcast. I'm Bonnie Campo. With me is our director, Stephen Harp, and we have a very special guest today. Welcome, Lieutenant Governor. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me. I love this podcast.
Yeah, we're excited about it too. I know Steve's got this huge smile on his face, so he'll probably get you out of the gate here, but we do want to talk about all of the great projects you have going on at tourism.
Sure, yeah.
So talk to people a little bit about this COVID experience for you, because literally I don't think people understand your relationship totally with tourism and what you guys have been working hard to get. Keeping business alive during a pandemic is super difficult, and there's so many cool things that are now visible to people, even off the roads.
Yeah,
kind of get into some of that for us.
Yeah, COVID has affected every industry, as we all know, both the public and the private sector. But probably not a harder hit industry than the tourism industry when it came to the pandemic. When you're shutting down, overseas travel outside of states, a lot of times tourism attractions, large venues, of course, they all shut down. I remember, we all remember where we were when it happened. And when things started to shut down. But we were already talking in Oklahoma about really starting a in-state campaign and telling Oklahomans how important it was traveling inside the state of Oklahoma before COVID even hit, which really helped the state of Oklahoma because we had a campaign. We had this "Okay, Here We Go" campaign. That's what we dubbed it. Pretty creative. Yeah. And we launched it. We were very aggressive telling Oklahomans, hey, listen, we get it. We need to be careful right now, but you can safely social distance around the state of Oklahoma. You can hit Route 66 in your car, for goodness sakes. Go through a drive-through to pick up some food. And really, we were in survive and advance mode with restaurants and with our tourism industry. And so we're pretty proud of that we were not, our tourism industry absolutely was hit hard, but it was not hit as hard as New York, LA, some of these other states where they really depend upon tourism as well, that are still shut down.
And tourism is the number 3 industry in the state of Oklahoma, is it not?
It is. Over 100,000 Oklahomans are employed, directly employed through some sort of tourism attraction or greatly benefit off of tourism. Third largest industry in the state. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of certainly the comments that I make about that is that no state can match the heritage and the history of our state.
Right.
And when you think about that, you think about it for a few seconds, it's true. There's really no state that has the heritage and the history, the highs, the lows, the good, the bad of Oklahoma.
Right.
And so if you want to see America, you got to see Oklahoma. And that is a message that really resonates with other tourists, both internationally and certainly in Oklahoma.
Very cool.
How did we keep tourism alive? You talked about we fared better. What did we do?
We had an aggressive advertising campaign. So coming in, being Secretary of Tourism, that is not a role that is given to the Lieutenant Governor. That is something that I campaigned on, that I wanted to be more actively involved in the tourism industry, and the governor knew it. Governor Stitt knew it and said, hey, you're on fire for this industry. I'm going to put you on my cabinet in the role of Secretary of Tourism and Branding. And I've just been completely blessed and overwhelmed with how generous he's been. We're really operating really as a ticket, even though we don't run that way in Oklahoma. So all that being said, I get in here, I have authority over an agency and their budget. And so we were able to look at their budget, where they were spending money wisely, where they could spend money better. We have an amazing staff at the Department of Tourism, really great staff. And so it was I was coming in really empowering them in a lot of ways, but we had not, in over a decade really, spent the kind of money that I felt like we needed to spend in Oklahoma, telling Oklahomans, hey, don't go to Arkansas for the weekend and spend, $1,500 as a family or whatever it is, whether it's $500 or $1,000. Keep that in Oklahoma, and let me give you 100 things to do.
It's the ultimate buy local.
It's the ultimate buy local, and certainly COVID taught us that, right? That how important shopping local was. Oklahoma, we live or die on sales tax in Oklahoma. We're one of the most sales tax dependent states in the country, and a lot of Oklahomans don't know that. We talk about how important shopping local is, but we don't always do it. And I'm not saying you don't go to Colorado or don't go to the beach in Florida. Of course, Oklahomans still are going to want to do some of those things. I'm talking about spending 1 or 2 more weekends in Oklahoma. Yes, cancel one of your plans to go to Branson and instead spend your money down in Broken Bow or in Oklahoma City or Tulsa for that matter. We got 77 counties and there's something to do in every one of those counties.
So tell us a little bit about a spot that maybe you've come across that Oklahomans may not just be that aware of, good family visit for people to get in their car and go visit.
Yeah, we'll call it Pinnell's top 10 list.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, my top 10 list. Well, I think people are starting to understand the wonder that is southeastern Oklahoma and Beavers Bend State Park. But 10 years ago, we didn't. Dallas figured out Broken Bow before Oklahoma did.
Yeah, that's true.
Dallas went down there, bought up a lot of the land, a lot of those huge, nice, amazing cabins down there. But Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and Beavers Bend State Park is one of the most beautiful places in the entire country. And it's now a top 10 destination in the country.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not talking about regional destination. It is on all the lists. I was in Forbes magazine this morning about one of the best places in the country, and it's exploding in all the right ways down there. So southeastern Oklahoma is amazing, but western Oklahoma too. I always say to be a true Oklahoman, you've got to go out to the Panhandle, go out see Black Mesa, see the dinosaur tracks that are preserved out there. I mean, it is unreal. And to go from, again, that type of climate to southeastern Oklahoma and to show that diversity that we have in our landscapes. We have 12 different ecosystems in Oklahoma. And again, most people don't realize that. They think we're still the Dust Bowl. That is not the case. But we have to demonstrate that and visually show that. But both western Oklahoma and southeastern Oklahoma, you can't go wrong.
So I feel guilty. So I used to go to New York a lot. And I used to give New Yorkers a hard time because they never went to see the Statue of Liberty. They never went to see the towers. They never did. And I've lived in this state since 1979, and I haven't done probably half of the things on your list.
Yeah.
I am motivated now, though. I've told my kids, my daughters are here this week.
Yeah.
We're making a summer plan now to start hitting, and now I'll be looking for your top 10.
Well, I'll get you the list.
And I don't care where they are.
No, I want to see this posted on social media. That would take off.
Yeah, 100%.
We got the only show cave in the entire country, Alabaster Caverns.
Yeah.
It's a 2 to 3 hour tour that you can go through in this cave, which is only an hour or two from Oklahoma City.
Do you know they turn the lights off when you get to the lowest point of the cave? I did this as a child with my parents, and I always remember it. So parents with kids, it's a great opportunity to get out, and you'll never forget it.
It is. And you're right. Most Oklahomans don't know what's 30 minutes outside their front door to do. Now, I'm not talking just things that are 2 hours away. I'm talking about 30 minutes outside their front door. And so we want to show that to Oklahomans. Now, we're careful with how much money we spend inside the state because we still spending money in Kansas and the regional destination footprint. That is the best kind of money when we can have someone come to Oklahoma, drop their sales tax dollars, and then go home. That's money that we're getting on top of obviously Oklahomans just moving their money around.
Sure.
We want both. We're not getting both right now. That's the issue. And if we get both, along with the international tourists that are coming here and flocking here because of Route 66, then we got something. Then we have a top 10 industry.
But now we have the entertainment industry that's building in Oklahoma sound stages. I mean, there's some exciting things there. California, which I know Texans are experiencing this already, and they're not necessarily super fans of that.
Yeah.
But seriously, that could maybe accomplish that goal.
It is. More movies and television shows were filmed in Oklahoma last year than almost any other state in a pandemic.
No.
That's
in a
crazy.
pandemic year. Sky is the limit for our film and television industry. We have a competitive incentive. We're building sound stages. We're centrally located, 12 different ecosystems, so you can film any movie or television show, along with our sovereign nations. So Cherokees, Chickasaws, Choctaws all have fairly aggressive film and music offices, which is fantastic. So their incentive on top of our incentive inside of their sovereign nation, I mean, that is a game changer. No state can really compete with that. And so I think over the next few years, you're going to see some very big announcements when it comes to film and television, which is real. We focus way too much on the show part of show business.
Right, sure.
It is business. It is real industry. and it's full-time jobs that can be created here.
So let's switch gears a little bit. We just came off spring break and now we're looking ahead to the summer. What is the big message that you and your team and Governor Stitt wants to get out about that business?
Yeah, really our message is get your summer back. We want to give Oklahomans their summer back because of the way Governor Stitt has led through this pandemic. We are now in a position, Oklahoma is in a position to be able to get out there, and not just get out there in social distance, but to get out there even in crowds. We're a top 10 state when it comes to vaccinations. We will continue to be top 10 in those areas. And so I think you're going to have a lot of tourists around the country too that will feel comfortable coming to Oklahoma, along with Oklahomans. So we want to give your summer back. We have plenty of places for you to go again around the state of Oklahoma. So our priority is Oklahomans feeling safe to get back out there and to help small businesses across 77 counties, and then to tell them what they can do. Make it very easy for them. Downloading our Travel OK app is the first place to start. It's a free tool. It's one of the best apps that I think in the country when it comes to tourism departments, and you can build an itinerary very easily. So these are things that we have to, though, tell Oklahomans, that free resources. You can go to travelok.com and we will mail you any brochure for free. I mean, these are free resources that we will mail to anyone in the world, frankly, because if we know that you're requesting those materials, you're going to plan a trip. You're serious about it.
And most people have no idea that they have that at their fingertips.
That's right. So you'll see more billboards. You'll see some more digital ads. We're very targeted because we have a limited budget like everybody else. But we're really smart with the dollars that we're spending now. And it's really paying off with more people showing up in the state. The governor has his dashboard, as we all know, that kind of shows where our agencies are. And we're in the top 20 when it comes to hotel rooms booked. Now, there's a lot of states around the country that would love to be in the top 15 to top 20 when it comes to hotel rooms booked, because the hotel industry has just been decimated over the last year and a half. But Oklahomans has not. And I think, again, moving into the summer, we could be top 10 when it comes to hotel rooms booked.
So something that I think a lot of people may not realize, and I want to touch this. So Lieutenant Governor Pinnell is extremely strategic. And when I first joined the state about a year and a half ago, one of the things we first partnered on was the Adobe.
Yeah.
Was launching. So there's branding, but there's also the Adobe piece. Talk to them about your vision around Adobe and what you saw. And then I know recently we did some publications about some outcomes from that from OMES, but what was your thought process?
Well, we couldn't have done it without OMES, first off. This was a great example of agencies working with other agencies.
Right.
A lot of times, agencies are siloed off and they're not working with each other. As you know, Governor Stitt said, this is one Oklahoma, and I want agencies working with each other. But OMES also realized that we needed to upgrade our websites, our first, to start with, our most outward-facing websites, interacting with Oklahoma taxpayers. Oklahoma taxpayers deserved a better system to interact with state government, an easier process to get a license, and everything in between. And we've been able to do that. I mean, the websites that we've launched, the 25 to 30, and I know we're going to do more of those into the future, it's a game changer for us. I mean, oklahoma.gov, it's completely different and professionalized and easier to use for Oklahoma taxpayers. I'm really proud of it. And yes, uniform branded. Because that was the other big problem that we had in the state of Oklahoma, is you had 200 plus government agencies, all using their own branding. And so it was kind of a hot mess in a lot of ways.
And who do you talk to? And am I talking to someone legitimate?
That's right. And you made a key point there. Is this a legitimate website? Because I'm going to this website and it has this logo and this website. You had people going to official state government websites, and they didn't even know if they were operating or talking to an actual state government.
Right.
That's a problem.
OESC was a good example of that. They'd have a good front end. You'd get further into the site. It would look different. You didn't know where you were at, really.
That's right.
And this has saved millions of dollars of millions of taxpayer dollars, which is, again, a message that we're trying to get out there a little bit more too, that now that you have a uniform brand, you don't have a lot of agencies rebranding themselves. It's consistent. People looking at Oklahoma for the first time are seeing, hey, Oklahoma has their act together. They're professionalized. Their first impressions, if they pass that test, if you pass the first impression test, then you move on to more intrigued of operating and working with that state. And I'm glad that Oklahoma gets that, and that we didn't skip over that step. Because we just weren't doing the blocking and tackling that I think we needed to do. And that's a foundation building block for any state.
Yeah, I think the vision around using enterprise-grade, like world-class providers of technology, in this case Adobe, to get our brand out, to get our websites more customer-friendly to citizens was amazing. And that was your idea, that was your brainchild. We just got to be the fortunate group to come in and help execute on that. But that's something that we've lacked. We haven't had that. You brought up the point about OESC. That was also, during the pandemic, one of the first things off the COVID task force team the governor had OMES thrown into. And now Shelley Zumwalt, the director there, is doing a great job. But all that to say that we faced a lot of that, a lot of questions about who are we dealing with, what's going on. So it's beneficial. There's like countless things that we couldn't even plan for about why it helps. Yeah. But it does make it feel like home, and it makes it feel like
legitimate.
legitimate.
Time.
Critical
people
time.
were coming to the website, and they needed it more than ever.
Well, and a big shout out to these agencies, because I remember when we were rebranding the state and we got all of the communication staffs of the different agencies together, and we had about 100 to 150 people there. Different agencies, and Shelley was with a different agency at that point, I remember, and they were like, listen, we've been waiting for this for 10 years. Yeah. We've been waiting for a new website for 10 years, and we weren't sure if we were going to get the buy-in from the agencies. I mean, I was blown away by how aggressive in a good way the agencies were of realizing we need to be one Oklahoma. We still obviously want to have our own voice as a state agency, but we could not have done what we've done the last year in a pandemic year with the brand if we didn't have buy-in from the state agencies, and we've got it, and it's because of that we've been able to do a whole lot in 1 year.
I think two additional things I would say to your credit. One, was your requirement that things were mobile ready, which meant it had to transcribe the size of the screen and meet Oklahomans where they are on with their mobile devices. The other thing I thought was really interesting too is as we were doing that, metrics were introduced too. We started collecting metrics on hit rates, ratios, who's coming to what site. It was the beginning of what continues to be starting the process around journey mapping the customer experience for the citizen. And that eventually, because of the platforms, because of Adobe, because of the vision you gave us, that will help us now map that out so we can interact with, like, if you go to DHS, you might be needing a similar service or process from tax commission, like adjudication. And we can start doing these things one time and do it digitally. And so we're not there yet, but we're there. But it had to start with a platform, it had to start with an idea, and we're moving that direction.
It's all the branding that we wanted to show that Oklahoma was better than okay. I mean, just for far too long, we had it on the license plate for far too long as well. If you say Oklahoma is just okay, then our taxpayers are going to say, are we just okay? Our next generations that we're raising in this state, I don't want them to accept mediocrity as a state. And I don't want them to accept mediocrity in state government either. And I think that helps us change the brand of the state of Oklahoma, that this is not a dust bowl. We're extremely diverse. We're forward-thinking. We're modern. We're not flat either.
We're imagining.
We're reimagining state government, and you can imagine still living the American dream here. It's very powerful, and I believe 10 years from now, when we count everybody in the state again, because we just counted everybody in the state of Oklahoma. We want more people in the state in 10 years, not less people. And how we get there, we're not going to get there and create more private sector jobs in the state of Oklahoma without, again, implementing a good modern brand through state government and letting that get into the private sector as well. I think we're on to something now over the next decade.
Well, speaking of heavy lifts, the PGA Championship.
Yes.
I mean,
cool.
Talk to us about that. You were instrumental, weren't you?
Yeah. So we got involved really early on that. I live in the Tulsa area, and so I'm pretty close to Southern Hills, and so I know their team real well. And it kind of fell in, timing is everything sometimes. And it's one of the best courses in the entire country. we were already getting the senior PGA Championship, and when this opened up to get the PGA Championship, we jumped all over it. So immediately we're on the phone with the PGA officials, letting them know that the state was going to be a partner there, and they were very impressed by that. That in Oklahoma we're nimble, and when a business or an event sees that there's buy-in and everybody's sitting around the table playing nicely in the sandbox together, you can win some deals over other states. And we were able to do that in this instance. And I also saw this as just a huge opportunity. It's an international event with people's eyeballs looking at landscapes, right, for 4 straight days. And when you see the Southern Hills attached to Oklahoma, you got a lot of people stopping. Well, hold on here. This is Oklahoma? I'm looking at Oklahoma right now for 5 straight hours for 4 straight days. It is, I don't know if there's a better opportunity that we will have.
We're not all tumbleweeds.
We are not all tumbleweeds. And again, Oklahoma City, we have Olympic events happening on the river in Oklahoma City, right? Imagine that. Yeah. And so we are going to invest, make sure that our brand is seen there. So you see what's going on with the Olympic events in Oklahoma City, PGA Championship, in 2 different cities in the state of Oklahoma. Amazing branding opportunities for us to really get on people's radars.
So talk a little bit about what you have been involved with doing to drive experiences in business for small business in Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's the other kind of swim lane of mine. Oversee the tourism department. Tourism is the front door to economic development, so they play very nicely together. A hand in glove relationship right now with our tourism department and the Department of Commerce. But Scott Mueller, who you should have on sometime.
We will, absolutely.
Amazing guy. I'm glad he's on our cabinet now. I'm working with him really on a daily basis when it comes to small business growth in the state of Oklahoma. My wife and I are small business owners, due in large part to my wife. She's an inventor, an entrepreneur, makes baby products. She's in the baby product manufacturing business.
That's a good husband.
Very good.
Yeah, she's taught herself to sew. We packaged these up 5 or 6 years ago in our kitchen. I mean, it's that kind of American dream kind of story. And now she's, has a huge warehouse and operation and ships all over the world. But so we knew as small business owners, we don't want to leave Oklahoma and go into an accelerator or an incubator in Kansas City or Denver or Houston. But a lot of our young and old entrepreneurs in Oklahoma are doing that, because they're not able to tap into resources here. Now, thankfully, I have conversations every week about a new accelerator, a new incubator in a town, making sure that their entrepreneurs in their cities know, hey, you can start your business in Oklahoma. You can start your business in Elk City or Woodward or anywhere else in Oklahoma because we've started this program. But that is really my space at the Department of Commerce, to make sure that we have the access to capital, that we have more venture funds being started up in Oklahoma, and we do. The last 6 months, we've had two or three more, that we have more 36 degrees norths and more. We have a Oklahoma City operation as well. These these workspaces that young and again old entrepreneurs can work in. An entrepreneur can be 16 or 60.
That's right. Yeah.
So we're very sensitive to that. And so that is a space that we have got to be in, because we're not going to build this state if we have the brain drain. And every state is trying to crack that code of how do we keep our young, good talent in our states. And it will not happen if we don't go all in on entrepreneurship programs. And thankfully, the governor gets that. We have a number of pieces of legislation. Department of Commerce endorsed legislation this session to really tap into remote worker programs, create an accelerator program statewide in conjunction with OCAST, I2E, and our Oklahoma Manufacturing Alliance.
You brought up the legislature. I don't think a lot of citizens understand your role in the Senate and so they may see you at the State of the State. Yeah. But talk a little bit about what your role, your position is with the Senate.
Sure. So I'm president of the state Senate. I don't preside every day. I could. It's a unique relationship because I'm very close with Greg Treat. I know him really well. I could call him up right now and said, hey, I'd like to preside over the Senate this week, and could. but don't preside every day. But I break tie-breaking votes. So, I like to say, if there's a tie, I win. I actually have a shirt that says it. And they get a good laugh out of that as well in the state Senate. So I'm pretty involved. I've been involved in politics for a few decades. So I have good relationships at the Capitol and with both the State House and the State Senate. I get involved, yes, pushing legislation, again, when it's in my swim lanes. So Department of Commerce, tourism-related legislation, film and music legislation that we've passed the last couple years, I've gotten very involved in. But yes, don't preside over that Senate every day, but do a few times during session, and yes, break tie-breaking votes when those happen.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. It's I didn't know that. When I first joined the team, Caden Cleveland, who's usually on this podcast with us, actually I have Caden, he's in training. It's a culture thing. So we're changing our culture at OMES.
Yeah.
And so they're doing 5 voices right now as a part of a series of things.
Good.
And so I'm like, no, the lieutenant governor will get this more than anybody.
Yeah.
You need to be in class today.
Yes,
so
you do.
Caden, this is your shout out.
that's
Yes.
right. That's the Easter egg for Caden.
There you go.
No, but that being said, but I thought it was fascinating. Do you know any of the history about why we're structured that way?
I don't. And it's fascinating to go to Lieutenant Governor Association meetings and talk to other lieutenant governors in other states. They are all different. A lot of them have a tourism portfolio. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know how that happened, right? Like one state maybe adopted it and then another state adopted it. But most lieutenant governors are pretty active with their Department of Tourism. And about half of them preside over their Senate. And then a lot of them don't preside at all. Florida's lieutenant governor doesn't preside at all, doesn't have a constitutional role there. But yeah, every state's different. I don't know the history, but I bet it's colorful history because that's what we do here in Oklahoma. I'm sure there's some very colorful history there.
Well, I kind of want to send this home too, unless Steve has anything else for you. But I think the biggest talking points and what your passion really is Oklahoma and getting people to just explore their home or having other people do that. And Steve always talks about the hope for the future. Right. It sounds like you're filled with a lot of that hope. Yeah,
I really am. We launched a video series last year, the Oklahoma Road Trip, and I think it's one of the best video series that was produced last year. Retrospect did that for us, a company out of Broken Arrow. Very talented. And I would encourage anybody to go to YouTube. They're little 5-minute clips, and it's just road trips that you can do around the state of Oklahoma. So when you're planning your summer trips, they're just little 5-minute clips, and you can binge watch 15 to 20 of these at a time. We released a new episode every Wednesday last year. And the feedback that we got on that was so special. I had history teachers, high school history teachers, reach out to me saying, "Hey, we're playing these in our in our high school classes,"
because they couldn't get out and really go anywhere.
They couldn't go anywhere. But it also is showing, I think, for the first time in a long time, it's showing high school kids that there are amazing things to do in your own state.
You're the one person I'd be scared to say there's nothing to do in Oklahoma.
I know, that's right.
Matt Pinnell would tell you, no, you're wrong.
It's not true. This is an amazing state. I think people, it's an easy pitch to say it's the best place to raise a family. We talk a lot about that, and we're affordable. But we need to talk about how amazing the state is to live, work, and play. And that the quality of life here is absolutely competitive with any large city now, which is what any company looking to relocate is going to need and want. I mean, their employees are going to demand those things. And thankfully, our towns, particularly Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and we're doing it across 77 counties, they get that. That quality of life matters. To be kind of that sales and marketing director for the state, to be able to champion that is a true blessing, and I plan on doing it every day that I'm in this office.
I think your influence on that is super important because coming out of the pandemic, coming out of a time when, although the state's been open, a lot of families have been at home. 33,000 state employees, for the most part, have been at home. Now we're getting to this place where we can launch, and we've got you as the ambassador, and you can educate. And I just love that. It's like things kind of work out for a reason sometimes. Yeah. And your leadership in that specific space is crucial for sure.
Well, I hope we have a roaring 20s type of summer ahead of us here. If we do, we're going to fill up Oklahoma create a whole lot of business for a whole lot of small business owners that really need help, and help position Oklahoma to be a top 10 state.
So tell your friends, tell the folks out of state to come visit.
That's right. Oklahoma is open, and you will fall in love with this state if you come here. That's your warning. You come to Oklahoma, you're going to fall in love with this place.
You're probably going to stay.
That's right.
All
Well,
right.
guys, if you are not already following tourism on all of their social media platforms, do that. Be sure to like and share this video as it gets posted. And we really just want to keep that good news alive here at OES and tourism. So thank you so much for joining us
We were
today.
honored to have you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time on the Get Stuff Done podcast.